Garden of Doom. The guy hit my right foot and I tried to run around. That's when the guy laughed loudly and said, "There is no hope." But I didn't stop running with blood bleeding from my feet and tears running down my cheek until I found the little girl who helped me escape. And she said to me, "Unfortunately, you have no hope." I left her and completed my path trying to escape the Garden of Doom. And suddenly, have you ever heard of the Garden of Doom? Wow. If you don't know her, she's very popular with the city. Well, approach me and let me tell you what horrors I've seen in this doomed park. I'm a very lonely, isolated person with no friends and no brothers. My father is long dead and my mother is in the hospital. As usual, I've been wandering the streets aimlessly, just in order to spend some time away from the boring, bleak house. But a moment. What a weird area. How have I never seen her? Though I've been through that street more than 100 times before. I said in my own right to walk a little bit inside this area, and he found out about it, bored the old streets. It's a totally demolished building area and the electricity is out of it. It's been a quarter of an hour and I'm walking around the area until it totally goes back. I looked behind me and found a very beautiful garden compared to the houses next to it. I was tired of walking and thought I'd sleep in it a little bit until the day came and I could find the way back. And I actually slept peacefully, but I had very terrifying nightmares. I woke up freaked out. I found my car gone. God damn, it didn't happen that a thief would go through this area. I went from my place and I kept walking long hours, but no end. I heard laughter and a very weird, scary scream from these abandoned houses. And suddenly, I saw in front of me a tall man who distorted features. He looked at a rancorous look and asked me in the voice of my efforts, "What are you doing here?" I said with great fear and confusion. I was lost, and I was lost. And then I fainted, waking up with iron chains and very weird creatures in front of me that I see for the first time in my life. A donkey with a snake head and a bird with a human head speaking in a very strange language that I don't understand. What are these cursed beings and how did you come here? I only interpreted the word never. I was terrified when I heard this word. I understood that I had intervened in what didn't mean. He didn't have to do it, but apparently it was too late to regret. Someone told me in clear Arabic what brought you here. It doesn't matter why, but you'll never go back to your life. After he finished as a sign, 2 creatures came from those creatures, and they started pulling me into a dark room that smelled moldy with only a few chopping tools. That's when I screamed, "Please let me go back!" But they removed their superiors. They left me in that room for about half an hour. Then a little girl told me to run away quickly before they killed you. "Don't worry, I'll help you." This girl freed me from my chains and dealt me on the path to survival. I started running until I found myself in that park again. I met another old man I told if you'd let me help me out of this area. React to a cynical yellow smile. "Son, I've been here for 10 years and I couldn't find the way out. Everyone comes to this garden forgotten. He doesn't even remember who he is." Then I fell to the ground crying with a burn that I regretted coming from the beginning to this doomed garden. And he suddenly showed me again the same tall man. He took me the first time with a machete hand. I froze in my place, terrifying and stuttering my tongue. I couldn't help but say one Quranic verse. The guy hit my right foot and I tried to run around. That's when the guy laughed loudly and said, "There is no hope." But I didn't stop running with blood bleeding from my feet and tears running down my cheek until I found the little girl who helped me escape. And she said to me, "Unfortunately, you have no hope." I left her and completed my path trying to escape the Garden of Doom. And a joke! Stop, bleeding puppets. How did he stop? The answer never matters, that this is so good that I can run more quickly, and after I gradually moved away, I found a light. The lights of the city are starting to show. Thankful God finally arrived for normal life. That's when I pointed directly at the first taxi I saw, but it didn't stop. I kept walking to my house, but I didn't find this just empty land. Here I just remembered the old man's speech. "You forget you were never..." "Everyone here is forgotten." That's when I decided to go back to the Garden of Doom. But I didn't find it, and it had no effect. I found instead a very ordinary area. "Where's the park?" I saw a man from afar who I approached until I asked about the park. Wow, that's when I thought he was the old man I met in the park. He told me with his usual yellow smile would live hell. Now you don't see and you'll die in a month and you'll see them all. The old man never finished his last sentence until he came and stood behind him, a tall man. He beheaded with one powerful blow and the old man screamed out, "I accept reality. I now don't see and I don't hear and I'll die in a month." I decided to write my story. Bye-bye. 2 days later, this young man hanged himself, and he was claiming that month that he saw wonderful creatures. So far, I am completely anonymous.